Okay, everybody. So, thank you very much for attending this afternoon's webinar. Um, as you can see from the title, it's really to do with how we can grow your customers during the off-peak seasons. We've identified a couple of trends. As you can appreciate, the last 4 or 5 months haven't been the best for seasonal businesses, and particularly businesses where you have to visit people's homes that have been affected. But we are seeing an increase now in demand and an increase in people looking for your type of services. And I think what's important to look at is not just identifying when the peak season is going to be potentially, but looking at the opportunity of when potentially we go through to the off-peak season, people are still looking for your services, but potentially there may not be a necessity to spend what you would normally do throughout the peak season, so to say. So you've got myself, Ian Franklin, on the call today, as well as Renisha. We look after the franchise marketing teams, particularly through one of our platforms, Ad Investor, that I'm sure some of you guys have signed up for. But what I'll do is I'll hand over to Renisha now. She'll do some introductions and go through the options of what we'd identified. Renisha, over to you.
Thanks, Ian. Hi, guys. I'm Renisha here, work part of the Ad Investor team. So we'll just take you through a few of the points, as Ian mentioned, and why it's really important for franchises to make sure they maintain a digital presence. So what we found is that businesses that do maintain a digital presence, there are 3 main benefits that can definitely benefit your business in the long run. So those are increase your customer base. You can increase consumer loyalty. For example, if you're always visible, you can acquire new customers during the winter periods, and they can actually continue your services during the summer peak periods. And one of the other points is you can always stay ahead of competition by keeping your business front of mind to the consumer. So again, with the competitors, many competitors might actually decrease a lot of their marketing activity during quieter periods, but this actually gives us a good opportunity and a great space to market and stand out from the crowd. So not only are the cost per clicks cheaper, but you can always stay front of mind to your consumer. And also, by putting a good marketing strategy and a good marketing campaign together will always keep you in the minds of the consumer when they're ready for you next. So we did do a Google Trends report to just see the demand for lawn care services within the off-peak seasons. So as you can see, from September up until even March, I would say there's still a good intent for those interested in lawn care services. So even though it might not be as popular as you can see during the summer periods or where it is the peak, it is interesting to see that there is still a demand for those searching for lawn care services or lawn care treatments. So this number represents the search interest relative to the highest point on the chart at a given time. So roughly around 30% is popular during the off-peak seasons. We also did another search terms report for winter lawn care. So it's very interesting that there is a very big intent for those looking for winter lawn care during those off-peak periods or those off-season periods. So the term actually winter lawn care was 50% popular during the months of September up until February. It's also interesting to see that there are many blogs actually out there which are, for example, how to maintain your lawn in winter. So it's interesting to see that there's so many different blogs out there, and what we have is different marketing strategies that can allow you to actually appear on those blog pages rather than only appearing for when someone searches. So what we can find is reaching relevant audiences with localized ads, and Google's Smart Campaign can really help you put your campaigns and put your business in the front of mind to the consumer. One way to do that is through the Google Smart Campaign. So this campaign is really great. It's all based on Google's algorithm. So Google put together, they determine where your ads will be served to to give you the best return on advertising spend. So it can actually serve for brand terms, treatment specific terms, and can also show your ad on the display network. So I've just got an example here of a franchise that we were managing. So for example, you can see that you can actually do image ads from the images from your website. So it can be appeared on any blog pages, news articles, whilst people are just generally searching. We can put together keyword themes to help match your Google Ads searches. So for example, residential lawn care services, lawn weed control, any of those different terms, and you actually be able to see that the potential audience size is quite big for the different ranges that we can actually target. So it can actually, using the Google Smart Campaign, you can show potential customers across the Google Search, Google Maps, YouTube, Gmail, and Google Partner websites. You can also track how many users have clicked onto your map listings or websites. You can see how many phone calls or website inquiries you may have received. And what's a great thing is that it can link to your Google My Business listing that I will discuss in the next slide. So the idea of this campaign is that it's an all-in-one campaign to reach potential customers. So as I mentioned, the Google My Business promoted pins can help drive local customers, and it's a really great technique that can be linked to the Google Smart Campaign to help achieve that. So this is just an example of the Google My Business listing. As you can see, it's a map listing. So you'll be able to say anyone's in a specific area, they'll be able to search for green thumb within their area, and hopefully the ad will show, where you'll be able to see the different pins where they're located, all your different branches. So what we found is that from the Google statistics, that every month over 1 billion people do actually use Google Maps. So there's a big variety of audiences that we can capture from those just searching for lawn care around this specific area. During the off-peak seasons, what the Ad Investor team will be doing is be optimizing your Google My Business listings for your branch's location. So that includes making sure that there's images shown, making sure that the reviews, all the 5-star reviews are at the top rather than filtering it from low reviews to at the bottom with high reviews at the top. So your ad is predominantly shown as more appealing to your consumer. We'll be refreshing all the opening hours. We're making sure that all the services offered are within the Google My Business listing. And then we'll also be making sure that all the business information and contact details are correct, along with the business description. So this can actually this is all offered within the package, and Ian will be discussing that in a bit more detail further on in the presentation. What's also a great thing is that from September, Google have also announced that it will not be charging for any clicks, calls, or sales from promoted pins. So we can actually aim to get customers at a lower cost. The reason why Google are doing this is because more people will be inclined to visiting stores. They're more inclined to actually being more out and about as lockdown has eased up over this period. One main benefit on Google's promoted pins on Google Maps, it helps your business stand out during these moments by displaying prominent square-shaped Google Maps pins. So rather than just a normal pin like this, it will be a square-shaped, and it will make sure that it's predominantly shown to the audience that you want it to be shown to. So I'll hand over to Ian to discuss the package in a bit more detail.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Ren. Cheers. So yeah, as we've covered there, looking at different ways of obviously maintaining your customer base throughout the off-peak periods is one thing we're very, very keen on promoting. But we understand obviously that potentially there may not be the highest volume there. You may still be getting inquiries and work there, but what we wanted to do is obviously amend our rates for the off-peak period to reflect potentially a slightly reduced service. albeit there are some really nice features coming out from Google, potentially to drive further traffic and further inquiries through to your company, but obviously not being charged for. So that's a real benefit to look at. So you can see here in this slide, normally our monthly management fee is $155 per month, but what we're proposing is between the months of September and February, rather than pause your campaigns, and potentially that could have a negative impact on restarting the campaigns in the summer months, we maintain what we inverted brackets and always on exposure. This will maintain a presence, as you can see, within your local community. It will give you an opportunity to potentially widen your customer base. As Ren showed in the initial slides, search queries for things like Windsor Lawn Care are actually really, really high within the off-peak periods, but that means that people are still looking for your level of service, even though potentially it may not be your peak period. It allows you to stay front of mind, and as we mentioned previously, some of your competitors will still be advertising, will be promoting their services within the off-peak periods, and so it still gives you the competitive advantage to appear next to them. And I think the last bullet point, again, as we've just said, with the traffic estimations that we've been looking at, people are still going to be looking for your services within the off-peak periods. We could just punch to the next slide, that's great. So the opportunity, if we can go to the next slide, what we can see here is we can reduce the monthly management fee that we charge normally from £155 down to £47, and we'd recommend reducing potentially your budgets as low as £150 per month. That will still be able to run ads, as well as optimize your Google My Business listings. You can still maintain a level of income throughout those periods. That's not a problem at all. And again, stay front of mind and capitalize the local market. So if you are interested in continuing with the package, then by all means just email through to the customer at Ad Invested team, and we'll be able to get that sorted for you. But open the webinar to any questions at all, guys. I believe there is a chat function as well on Zoom. I think we had received one question, which was to do with geographical targeting, as well as volume of inquiries coming through from there. And it's one thing I probably just want to raise, is that we've had feedback, not just from Green Thumb franchises, but with a lot of the franchise networks that we deal with, in terms of sort of the differing level of inquiries that potentially some franchises can potentially produce. And there's a number of different factors behind that. The great thing is with the strategy that we employ through Push and through the Ad Invested team is that if we see something working for one franchise, then we replicate that across the whole network. But I think when it comes through to potential geographical targeting, what you have to look at is really sort of population densities. If you're advertising within central London, you're going to have a high propensity of getting inquiries coming through for yourself. That's a given, compared to maybe somebody who's sort of in the back end of potentially South Wales, where the population density is considerably reduced. So what we try and do in those kind of situations is actually focus on more specific searches, or for more qualified searches where potentially people who are looking for those kind of terms are going to have a higher intent to make an inquiry. So even in a lower population area that's potentially not going to be generating as many searches, what we want to do is make sure that every inquiry comes through as qualified as possible. Once we've gathered that data, then actually we can then replicate it across the network again to those who end up getting a higher volume of inquiries. So it's benefiting each franchise and franchisee by sort of a co-learning situation, which is how we run the campaigns. See if there are any other questions at all, guys.
I think there's another one just on how we'll be targeting the locations within the smart campaigns. So the way the locations will be targeted, or the different branches will be targeted within the smart campaigns, is we'll be doing it by postcodes, from the postcodes that you can provide, or from the main website. So we can actually enter those postcodes and within the smart campaign and target those specific locations.
Yeah, I think one thing to caveat with that as well, Ren, is because of GDPR, we're only allowed to target the first half of the postcode. So, I mean, I'm based in Reading, so If we were to target green thumbs around the Reading area, we would be able to target by RG6, but we wouldn't be able to target by RG6 and then the back end of my postcode. It's just one of the limitations that GDPR has imposed on us. But we are looking at ways, obviously, of trying to drive more potential specific traffic through to location-based searches instead.
Yeah, and one way to help with that would definitely be by linking the smart campaign to the Google My Business listing, where you can actually have the promoted pins and it's promoting the location of your Google My Business listing.
Right, guys, so I think that comes to the end of the webinar. By all means, if you have any further questions, then please feel free to get in contact with us over at the Ad Investor team. You can see the email there at customer@adinvestor.co. And one of our specialist teams will be able to respond to any queries. And again, subsequently, if you wish to continue through the off-peak periods of the reduced package, all you need to do is send a confirmation email through to us and we'll be able to get that sorted for you. But just want to say thank you very much for attending this afternoon. Hope everybody's staying safe and staying sane and have a great rest of the day. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.